Welcome to my Get Unstoppable Confidence mini masterclass. My name is Shuna Balnaves and I'm a Master NLP coach, Master Timeline Therapy practitioner and trainer of NLP Plus, and I'm an expert in human behaviour and human psychology. In this mini masterclass, I'm excited to share with you my experiences and knowledge that have helped me and my clients get unstoppable confidence. I hope you enjoy this masterclass, so let's get started. Have you realised that we're often sold that it is a fact that for lasting change to happen, it has to be difficult and will take a long time for it to work? But does it really? Have you noticed how lots of people can talk about change and self-development, and sometimes what they say can be difficult to grasp and overly complex? And lots of psychological therapies seem complicated, talking about controlling the ego, giving how we feel or behave long confusing labels, or even accessing your superconscious, whatever that is. These can all make it seem like change is really hard and give the impression that it would take forever to master your mind. So I want to banish these myths and untruths for you now. So if you think about it, you can't change what you don't know about and don't understand. And that's often the key part that's left out from other people's solutions. If you just think about anything you've learned in the past, the more you know about how something works, the simpler the problems are to solve, right? So I want to give you a different approach. I'm going to explain some of the basics and demystify how our mind actually works. And once you understand the principles of the mind, it's actually really simple. So are you ready to find out more? So here are some really simple to understand facts about your mind. Firstly, your mind operates like a 5-year-old child. So like a 5-year-old child, it needs clear, straightforward instructions and will follow those instructions absolutely. And this is because your mind wants to support you to carry out those instructions. So just imagine for a moment your mind is like a 5-year-old little brother or sister that you like. And that's important as most people treat their minds really badly. So what would happen if you sent your little brother or sister to the shops with £50 to buy food without a list of what to buy? It's more than likely they'll just grab what looks the nicest, and you'd end up with £50 worth of sweets, chocolates and crisps, and not the healthy food that you should eat. Not convinced yet? Then think about those times when you've been eating healthily and planning out your food, consciously aware of how much you're eating, and then you have a night out and just let yourself off. And what do you eat? Most likely everything in sight. So, like I said, your mind needs clear instructions, and I'll talk more about how you can use this to your advantage shortly. Secondly, what you think about affects the way you feel. That's obvious, right? And then how you feel will determine how you behave. Absolutely. But we often underestimate the power of our thoughts and sometimes believe we have little control over them. The power of these thoughts affects our feelings and then also has a knock-on effect to our actions and behaviour and even our bodies and health. So thoughts have a powerful effect on us, and sometimes we're unaware of how those thoughts influence our behaviour, our bodies and even the people around us. And you will have seen this. Think about those people who are always stressed, and you will have seen that they often get headaches, stomach problems, eczema and a myriad of other illnesses, and even lead to depression. And that all simply starts with thoughts. It's their continued negative thinking that leads to these problems. And if you think about this in terms of a lack of confidence, and for example, think about a time when you were going to speak in front of a class or in front of work colleagues, and you didn't feel that you were good enough, that no one would listen to you, that you'd got nothing interesting to say, and that you'd never amount to much. This will then lead you to act in an underconfident way, and you might stumble over your words, or just try and shrink into the background, or even forget what you're going to say, which then just proves to you that you're not good enough. And then maybe this cycle starts all over again. But those thoughts can be positive. They can lift your mood, make you feel great, and you behave in a happy, positive way, smile and laugh, and you're full of energy. So thoughts are incredibly powerful, and you can spiral up and down these thoughts. And I'll talk more about how you can have more influence over your thoughts soon. Thirdly, there is the programming or blueprint of your mind, and this is the area that we're often least aware of, but has the most influence over us and underpins the previous two principles of the mind that I've just introduced you to. So the blueprint contains things like your beliefs and values. These are the foundation of and influence all of your thoughts, feelings and behaviours. For example, if you have a belief that you're not good enough, that it's obviously going to affect your thoughts, your feelings and ultimately your behaviour. So if you have that belief that you're not good enough, you're likely to be thinking negative thoughts. This will give you a feeling of not being good enough. You may feel sad or hurt. You will behave in a less than confident way or avoid a situation. Do you get the idea? And does that sound familiar? So being able to change the programs that run in the blueprint underpin everything else and is one of my fundamental keys to gaining confidence and getting rid of low self-esteem. So now you're starting to understand how the mind actually works, and think about those three principles that I've shared with you so far. The mind needs simple, clear instructions to follow, and it will follow what we tell it. Our thoughts affect how we feel, which affect our emotions, which affect our behaviour and our actions, which in turn affect our results. And any problems we have can be found in the programming or blueprint, and so to make any changes you need to change the blueprint. So it's not so complex after all. So building on those principles, let me give you 3 really massive tips to influence how your mind works that can impact your confidence and self-esteem. They are: your mind is a robot, use of language, and focusing on what you want. I mentioned the principle that your mind operates like a 5-year-old child and follows instructions to the letter. The first key step is to make sure those instructions are clear and, importantly, what you want. Because if you tell it what you don't want, then guess what? Yes, you get what you didn't want. I'm going to demonstrate with you just how simply and easily your mind follows instructions and how powerful they can be. So please sit comfortably and close your eyes now. Good. Have you done that? With your eyes closed, just think of a lemon. Imagine the lemon however you want. Now see the lemon's bright yellow colour. Feel the waxy surface of the peel and the firmness of the juicy pulp beneath. Now imagine that you're holding the lemon in one hand and a sharp paring knife in the other. When you pierce the tip of the knife, you feel a slight spray of the juice that increases as you push the knife down under the peel and into the lemon. Now you can see and feel the juice spurting out and running down your hand. Quickly, you remove the knife, raise the lemon to your mouth and begin to suck the juice. Okay, now stop and observe what's happening to you. Are you salivating? Most likely you are. But is there a lemon? The lemon is only in your imagination. Your mind accepted the suggestion to see a lemon and your body acted accordingly. So like I said, your mind is only a robot controlled by your thoughts and completely lacking in the ability to distinguish what's real from what's imagined. That demonstrates clearly that your mind and body follow the clear instructions that you give it. And if you translate that to a lack of confidence, it's often connected to negative thoughts. Negative thoughts are often connected to something that has happened in the past or what may happen in the future. So for example, if you get nervous at interviews because you once had a bad experience, then feeling nervous about all other interviews is likely to happen as you get locked into that habit. So just like the lemon, the bad experience doesn't exist except with what you create in your mind. So your mind doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. It simply follows the instructions that you give it. So think about the instructions that you're giving your mind through your thoughts. Is it something that's actually happening, or is it simply a thought? So in these thoughts, what are you telling yourself? The next vital part to how your mind works is in the language that you use. Your thoughts just happen naturally, and you use language every day, but you're not always conscious of how much the language that you use impacts on you, and for that matter, others. Firstly, it's helpful to understand that your mind doesn't process negatives directly. If I say to you, "Don't think of a pink elephant," I'm guessing that you just thought of a pink elephant, didn't you? That's because your mind has to first think of the thing you don't want to think of in order to not think of it. Make sense? So if you're saying things like, "Don't forget to pick up the dry cleaning" to yourself, your mind will have already processed the forget bit and go, "Okay, it's forgotten." So instead say, "Remember to pick up the dry cleaning." Simply say things as you want them. And if you're always telling yourself, "Don't be so stupid," your mind will be focused on stupid, and it will look for other ways to prove that you're right. So use language that supports you. You could say instead, "I didn't get that right this time, but I will next time." We can also use language to create a space in our minds for things to be possibilities rather than sounding impossible and shifting our focus. If you're always telling yourself that things are difficult, what message and instruction do you think that's sending to your mind? So instead of saying something is difficult, say instead that it's less easy. Things sound much more possible that way, and you're giving your mind a much more supportive instruction. Other examples could be, instead of saying, "This is scary," say, "This is less comfortable." Or instead of, "Don't be so stupid, you'll never do that," use, "This is a challenge, but I'll find a way." You get the idea. And these small changes can be the difference in your feeling confident. The last key principle follows on from the previous two. So your mind always follows instructions, and the language that we use is important. With those in mind, you then need to give your mind a clear path to follow, and that is to focus on what you want. Your mind is basically there to serve you and will give you whatever it is you're focusing on. So by focusing on what you don't want, it'll keep showing up. You may have noticed this yourself. Have you ever woken up and a couple of things haven't gone so well? So maybe you broke your favourite mug and you stubbed your toe, and you start saying to yourself, "Today's going to be a really bad day." And from then on, everything else just seems awful. The traffic on the way to work is dreadful, your boss is in a bad mood, it's raining outside. You suddenly realise it's 6 months until your next holiday. You get the idea. But is it really different from any other day? Or is it just that you've told your mind it's a bad day? And as we've already discovered, it's simply following your instructions and pointing out all the bad stuff. The truth is, it's no different from any other day. It's just where your focus is going. There was some research carried out to try and discover what the differences were between people who considered themselves lucky and those who considered themselves unlucky. During the research, bad things were happening to the people who thought they were unlucky, and good things were happening to the people who thought that they were lucky. By the end of the research, having compared people's backgrounds, so money, where they live, their family life, education, etc., the only thing that they could find different was that one group thought they were lucky and the other group thought they were unlucky. It was as simple as that. It was as simple as what they were focusing on. So whether you think you can do something or you think you can't do something, your focus will always prove you right. So before starting anything, begin by focusing on how you want it to turn out, rather than all the things that could go wrong. And your mind will follow these instructions to support you to make it happen. So if you have to do something like give a presentation, imagine beforehand that it's going really well and the positive feedback that you'll get. Make a clear, vivid picture of it all going brilliantly. Imagine what you'll say to yourself and what others are saying to you, and also imagine how you will feel. Do this and your mind will support you in what you're focusing on, and it will give you more certainty that things will turn out as you want them to. In this mini masterclass, we've demonstrated that your mind is a robot and follows clear instructions, and that what you think is vital, especially in terms of how you use language to give your mind the instructions you want. And that by focusing on what you want, you're giving your mind a clear direction of how to achieve what it is that you want. So start putting these principles into practice now and notice the difference it makes to your thoughts, feelings, and the results that you're getting. People think that others can make them better, give them more confidence, make them happy, and make them feel good enough. But it all starts with you. Only you can create confidence and self-esteem within yourself. You have got to get that belief and feeling of being good enough for yourself, and I can show you how. Right now, I'm offering a special free 30-minute Discover Your Unstoppable Confidence coaching call, where we'll work together to create a crystal clear vision of the person you want to be, reveal the hidden challenges that may be sabotaging your confidence, and you'll leave the call enlightened, focused, and inspired to finally find the confidence that you've always wanted once and for all. To book your free discovery session, please call, text, or email me on the details shown below now. I look forward to hearing from you and helping you further on your journey to a confident you. If you found this valuable, please share, as the world needs more confidence. For more resources, visit www.beinggoodenough.co.uk. If you want success, take action, and take action now.